Right then, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves for another opposition preview. It's the second game of the season, Wolves' first game at home, and we're going to be taking on Fulham. I'm delighted to say I'm alongside Dom from the Fulhamish fan page. Dom, how are you keeping, man?
Yeah, all good, mate. Obviously, we had a decent start to the season with that performance and point against Liverpool on Saturday. So, yeah, we're all in high spirits going into the season for once. Usually, we sort of get battered on the opening day and we're like, oh, it's another season of dread in the Premier League. But it's given us some form of optimism, which I'm sure we'll get into in this video.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's obviously good to see Fulham back in the Premier League as well. Over the last few years, we've seen you come and go, and then you've come again, and we're going to speak about that a little bit more. Dom, obviously, pre-season's over now, but how was it for Fulham? What did they get up to, and what were the results like?
So in pre-season, it was sort of a mixed bag, really. We had our main pre-season tour, I guess you could say, was we went to the Algarve with Marco Silva and Betmate being the backroom staff. I think that was always
Yeah,
always a given. So we played Nice and Benfica out there. We beat Nice 2-0. Both penalties, and then we got battered by Benfica like 5-1. But then we played Villarreal, who obviously Champions League semi-finalists last year, won Europa League when they beat United a couple of years ago, drew with them. So it was a mixed bag of results, but I said it was more just sort of trying to breed the new signings into the side. I mean, everyone knows what pre-season's like. You can get carried away by some results, and then, as I said, we got carried away by the Nice result, for example, and then next game you get battered 5-1 by Benfica, and everyone's like, "Oh, is it going to be another season like this?" But no, I said overall pre-season I thought went quite well. It's just annoying that some of the signings we've been getting in have been after the pre-season tour, so we haven't sort of bed them in through the Premier League games. But overall, I thought it was a decent pre-season for Fulham.
yeah, and I mean, you've mentioned the signings. There's been a couple of good players that Fulham have brought in. I saw Marco Silva make some comments a few weeks ago about the numbers, and I think it was a similar situation to Wolves where it was obvious you needed new players, but they weren't quite coming in yet. But slowly but surely, we've seen some new players signing for Fulham, one of which is João Palhinha, who's so heavily linked with Wolves and has been over the last 2 or 3 years. So I'll ask you about him in a second. You've got Andreas Pereira from Manchester United, Mana Solomon, Kevin Mbabu, Shane Duffy coming in, Bernd Leno. I think you're looking at the centre-back from West Ham, aren't you? As well, Issa Diop, I think he's close to joining, if I'm correct. I'll ask you about Palhinha first. So, Don, what are your thoughts on him so far? Because he's a player a lot of Wolves fans are excited to sign because we thought we were going to be signing him. He went to Fulham in the end, and as far as I'm aware, he's had a decent start for you, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was probably one of our best players on Saturday, alongside Mitrovic. Obviously, Mitrovic is one grabbing all the headlines, but João Palhinha was really keeping the midfield tick. I mean, we've really not had like a dominant sort of defensive midfielder or just a dominant midfielder in our side for a long time now. We signed Seri and Anguissa sort of when we first came up when we came up with you guys in for 18-19, and it didn't really work. But João Palhinha, obviously, it's only one game. You can't really go off one game. I thought Seri looked good in his debut for us, but João Palhinha really, really sort of, especially his role in the team, he allows the likes of Harrison Reed and Pereira to sort of drive a bit more further forward in the team. And I thought, I think he completely dominated a Liverpool midfield with Henderson. Obviously, Thiago went off injured, but I thought, I thought he was sublime on the weekend. And it's for a lot of Fulham fans are thinking sort of, why has he come to us? Why is he's a start of the Portuguese national side for a few years now, and he was linked with obviously you guys more of an established Premier League team at the moment than we are, but even like a team like, I don't know, Arsenal need a holding midfielder, Man United need a holding midfielder. I'm surprised he wasn't linked with even big clubs on the continent as well. But yeah, I'm delighted we've got him, and he started really well. So hopefully it's just a sign of things to come really for us. And because we haven't really had a dominant midfielder probably since we sold Moussa Dembele to Tottenham, nearly a decade ago now. So we know what he went on to do at Spurs and what people's praise are for him. So if he can follow in those footsteps, I hope he stays a bit longer. But hopefully, it said you don't want him to do too well because he might end up moving to a top 6 side. But really good start so far, and hopefully it's just a sign of things to come.
Is there any other areas you think need addressing over the next few weeks before the window shuts? Obviously, you've signed quite a number of players in all the different positions, but anywhere else that you think needs strengthening before the deadline?
Well, obviously, you mentioned that we're linked with Issa Diop. I do think Issa Diop, it's a centre-back, is definitely something we need to get over the line. I wouldn't be against signing another one. But, I said we got Shane Duffy in on loan, which sort of came out of the blue. The rumour sort of came in the morning, and then he was signed by sort of the lunchtime afternoon. Other positions, I would say backup striker, because if Mitrovic gets injured, we have Rodrigo Muniz, who he's not a bad player, but, he only had a bit part to play in the Championship. He was a very young Brazilian player. We were linked with Xerxes from Bayern Munich, who was on loan at Anderlecht last year. That's sort of gone quiet now. But a backup striker, if we're going to get one in, maybe a wide player. We've been linked with Justin Kluivert from Roma, which would be a good signing. And
Definitely.
it's not one that like every Fulham fan's talking about. I just think we need to sign a left back. Personally, I just don't think Robinson and Bryan are quite cut the mustard really in the Premier League. Robinson did have a good game on the weekend, but I still think left back would be a position. Just me personally, I'd want to improve in, but I don't think the club are really looking there because we haven't really been linked with any all window. But if you're going with the rumours, I think we'll hopefully get Diop over the line this week, and then potentially a backup striker and a wide player.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned Marco Silva. He's a manager that he's had a couple of clubs in the Premier League, obviously Portuguese as well. So you'll probably see Fulham starting to be linked with similar players to Wolves as well. What are your thoughts on him? Because obviously he's got a little bit of a reputation in the Premier League that he hasn't been able to cut it or whatever. But he had a superb season for you guys in the Championship last season. What do you think's changed, and what do you think about him?
I think he's found a club and a project maybe that got explained to him that he's really behind maybe because often he started so well. He did really well at Hull. I know they went down, but they were basically down when he took over, and he nearly got them out. And then he obviously moved to Watford, started well there, but then obviously the moves to Everton sort of came about. Everton. It was a bit weird Everton because I think his first season I think they finished 8th in the league, and I think that's higher than Ancelotti did in either of his seasons there. But obviously then the next season I think he was like 15th, 16th when he got the sack. But yeah, I was happy when we got him because of the other managers at the time we've been linked with, the likes of Chris Wilder, Steve Cooper. I know Steve Cooper did well at Forest last year, but at the time I was thinking, well, Marco Silva, he's managing the Premier League, finished in the top half. What he did with Estoril, we won the league with Olympiacos. So I'm delighted that we got him in. And last season, it's the first time we'd actually won the championship. Although we've been up and down a few times, it's the first time we won the championship since 2001. And although you lift a trophy when you win the playoff final, it's not a real trophy. So it was started to see us, seeing us lift the trophy was unbelievable. And he seems to be able to get the best out of Mitrovic, and Mitrovic seems to love playing for him. I know Mitrovic has scored goals before, but scoring 43 league goals in the Championship, it doesn't happen every season. So I think, it seems to be everyone at the club seems to be happy. Everyone seems to be the club wants to play for the manager. So I think it's probably the best chance we've got at staying up in recent years. If you're comparing to, we had Slavica Jokanovic when we came up the first time, and then the second time was Scott Parker. So I think it's our best opportunity, and I think the club just seems to be. The structure seems to be getting it right when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to the players, when it comes to the management staff, when it comes to the academy. I just think at the moment the structure of the club seems the best it's been in recent years. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. We can get back to where we were sort of in the early to mid 2000s, where we were stable in the Premier League, finishing top 10 several times, getting into Europe. I'm not going to say that's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but it'd just be nice to get back to being a stable Premier League club, sort of where Brighton have got to, where Leicester have got to, even where yourselves have got to. That's really got to be the aim for Fulham in the next few years if we can stay up this year.
Yeah, well, that's sort of, you've answered part of my question there. I was going to say what has changed, because we saw the last couple of times Fulham spent quite a little bit of money and it didn't quite work out. Do you think the management structure at the club right now is going to be one of the biggest signs for you guys to keep you up this season?
100%. And I also think, everyone has probably seen on social media at times when our outspoken sort of director of football, Tony Khan, has been talking about things. He sort of toned down his social media presence when it comes to football. He still tweets out his wrestling and rubbish, but I think that's part of what he has to do when he all elite wrestling. But it seems like some of the signings now are becoming more the manager's choice, whereas in previous seasons there has been some signings where you can tell it wasn't a Slavica Jokanovic signing or it wasn't a Scott Parker signing. But if you look at someone like João Palhinha and a player like Andres Pereira, you can kind of tell these are players that Marco Silva wanted.
Yeah, 100%.
Often we've gone into the foreign. We haven't really ever gone into the Premier League market when we've come up recently. Maybe I think that's something that Marco Silva maybe is like. We need Premier League experienced players. He likes Bernd Leno. It's a deal if we get it over the line as well. Andreas Pereira, I know he's not played loads, but he's still played in the Premier League for Man United. So yeah, I think there's definitely more of a strategy and a direction that you can see the club going in. When we spent 100 million. It was a bit like Forest are now. We kind of needed to spend or get numbers in because we had quite a few players in on loan. But I said it didn't go to plan. Then last time we signed a lot of loan players, which is good because you can get good quality players in on loan. But then if you go down, then your squad's decimated for the next season. We've seen what Anderson's done at Palace. He's done really well. We've seen what Ademola Lookman did at Leicester last year. I know he's just joined Atalanta, but yeah, I really think the club are sort of. It seems to be a unity in that it isn't just sort of one part here, one part there. It all seems to be working together. And I said the first performance of the season really showed that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, we sort of glossed over that, to be fair. It's a really solid opening day for Fulham. And I bet, when the Fulham fans saw that fixture list and saw Liverpool first, you're thinking, oh my word, it's gonna be a difficult start. But I watched I was on the way to Ellen Road, so I listened to part on the radio. I watched part when I was at the ground as well. And yeah, Fulham put up a really good fight, and yeah, a really good performance. Mitrovic typically was on my bench for Fantasy Premier League, so we take a loss there. But we'll look at the predicted lineups now, Dom. Before we do, though, for our viewers, we've got another Betmate Fantasy League game this weekend. It's for all the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff games. The link is in the top of the description. My team's going to be on the screen now. You can join. It's £3 to enter. A minimum payout of at least £600. And if you use the code TW5, if you're a new user, you'll get a £5 free bet as well. 18 plus gamble aware. This is my Wolves lineup now. My predicted 11 for the game. Sticking with the back four. We'll obviously see pretty much Kilman and Collins in the heart of that defence once again. Dom, let's hear your predicted formation 11 for Fulham for the weekend. What are you thinking?
So I think it'll pretty much be the same as we played against Liverpool. I think the only possible change we might see is if Bernd Leno starts over Rodak or not. It's a tough situation because everyone knows Bernd Leno is the better goalkeeper, but Rodak had a really good game, didn't make any mistakes. So it's, do you drop him? Because clearly Leno's going to be our number one keeper this year. Do you drop him or do you bring back? I think that'll be the only change. So I would start Leno personally. I'd have Leno in goal. Then we'll have the same back four of Tete, Ream, Tosin, and Robinson. Obviously, the Issa Diop signing, if it gets done early in the week, if it's done by maybe Tuesday, then we can maybe see him into the squad. But I don't think Marcus Silva would throw him straight in anyway. So I'd go with the same back four. Same midfield three of João Palhinha, Harrison Reed, and Andreas Pereira. Then up front, annoying for us, Harry Wilson got a really bad injury. He's out for a couple of months. So that's why we're obviously looking for a wide player. But I say Mitrovic, Cabano and Bobby Reed is what I'd expect. Considering how we played against Liverpool, I can't see any real changes bar maybe the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Would you say your key man in that squad is, well, I think everyone knows it's probably going to be Mitrovic. And that was the one worry, I suppose. Not so much a worry for me as an outsider, but as a sort of football fan, you see Mitrovic do so well at the Championship, and trying to translate that form into the Premier League is something that he's struggled to do before. But 2 goals on the opening day against one of the best teams, not just in the league, but in the world. It's a great start for him. Obviously, you would probably label him as your key man, but is there anyone else that Wolves really need to look out for on Saturday?
I think João Palhinha. I think the midfield battle is going to be key here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because I think he was, I'd say, our second best player, but I would usually say Harry Wilson, but obviously he's not been playing. So attacking-wise, I think Mitrovic is the key area. But I said the midfield battle when it comes to, João Palhinha, Harrison Reed, I think that's going to be the key one. But I think if you're going to look at someone else, maybe Andreas Pereira. I think he looked really good sort of getting into the channels from his sort of number 10 position against Liverpool. But yeah, I think that obviously but you got Mitrovic up front. But apart from that, attacking-wise, you're probably looking at Andreas Pereira. But I said the midfield battle will be interesting with Harrison Reed and João Palhinha sort of then replicate their performance that he did against Liverpool's midfield.
Yeah, I mean, set pieces as well. Pereira, obviously, I'm not sure if you've seen that yet from a Fulham point of view, but I've seen it previously for both Manchester United and when he's in Brazil from those free kicks, 25 yards or something. I'm sure Fulham fans will be looking forward to getting a few free kicks in those sort of areas. In looking at the Wolves team, Dom, as well, is there anyone from the Wolves setup that worries you going into Saturday's game?
I think when I look at it's one thing that could worry is if you sign Gonzalo Guedes before the game on Saturday, and if he's in the starting 11, we know what he can do. Seeing what he can do in La Liga this year. When it comes to Wolves, like I just think when I look at Wolves, I don't look at this player I can see is causing so much trouble. I think when it comes to Wolves, I think it's just such a cohesive unit as a team. And I think it's that the way the team sort of, if on their day when they can, if you look at when we looked at the start of last season and even up to sort of Christmas time, really, you guys were on outside bet of getting European football really. So I think if Wolves are on point, which obviously they weren't against Leeds on the weekend, but if it's the first home game of the season, the Wolves players are going to want to bounce back, and the Wolves fans are going to be wanting 3 points. Both teams here want to be getting off to the best start of the season possible. And if you're pretty much an established Premier League club now, been in there 4, 5, 6 years now. So I think you're looking at a newly promoted club coming to your ground for your first home game of the season. You guys obviously looking at 3 points here, but I think it's more. I think the midfield battle is just going to be the key. What
100%.
happens with the likes of Palhinha and Reed against sort of Moutinho and Neves. So yeah, I think it's the midfield battle that really not worries me, but I think it's going to basically decide the game, because I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be decided by the odd goal, whether it's a 1-0 or a 2-1. A bit, obviously, which was a reverse result for you guys, obviously, in the Leeds game. But yeah, I think that midfield battle was basically what's going to decide the end result in this game.
Definitely. And Dom, if I had to trouble you for a score prediction, the toughest question of the preview, what are you going for?
I think I'm going to go with another draw. I think Fulham can get a point at Molineux. I'm hoping to get. I'd love to see us win. I don't think it's past us to get 3 points at Molineux, but I don't think. But because you need to bounce back in it's first home game of the season at Molineux, I think 1-1 will be my score prediction for the game.
Yeah, I mean, Fulham are on a high promotion, great result on Saturday. Wolves still, we're excited for the new season, but our form, if you take it to last season, we're on really poor form at the moment. So you're right. I'm hoping that Wolves are going to bounce back. I just want us to get on the board. So I don't think a draw would be a bad result. Dom, before we finish off, where can people find you if they wish?
So if you want to find me, I'm at Radio Bets on Twitter. Or if you want to look at all the Fulhamish's content, at Fulhamish Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Fantastic, mate. And obviously we're talking Wolves everywhere as well. Guys, let us know your thoughts and score predictions in the comment section down below. Obviously, we'll be back after the Fulham game for the reaction and the fans react. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you all very, very soon.